Hello, I'm Bryce Wilcox. I'm from Georgia, and I play football at the University of Michigan. So, being a high school football player and getting a Division I scholarship, the best advice I have for you is just set yourself apart. If you really want it, if you you dream about this, and you really want it, you got to set yourself apart. That's on weekends. Your friends are going to hang out. You gotta set some time apart to go get some extra field work in. Go in the weight room. Take care of your body. Even though you may have worked out all week, maybe take Saturday, get a good night's sleep, go do yoga, go to a cold tub, go just do something to just better yourself, better your body. That way, you can keep on running the next week. When the next week starts, that Monday, you're ready to go instead of hanging out, staying up late on the weekends. You gotta make sacrifices for yourself if you really want to be the best you can be. So growing up, I played football since I was 4 years old, and it was more about getting the technique, learning the plays. But in high school is when I really started to watch film, and that's when my high school coach, Coach Dallas, he really broke down how to watch film. And now in college, you kind of can see how crucial that is to watch film and to better your game in the film room rather than on the field. So my senior year, I didn't play any sports, and I think playing sports in high school were definitely a crucial way of just being an athlete and just everything. So with football, my senior year, I wanted to focus more on football, and so I trained at this place in Atlanta, and some things that I focused on when I got there is balance. Balance is a key thing. Whether you're on defense or you're on offense, whenever you're at the top of the route, being on your feet and staying on your feet, and breaking on the ball. That's a big thing too. Is just balance, just knowing, having a good relationship with your legs and your mind, just all working in one motion. So that's what I would say. Challenges. First of all, I'm 5'11", so I'm not a bigger guy. And those guys who go to camps, just from being 6'4", or those taller guys, automatically they get seen first. They get talked to first. And so being a shorter guy in the position that I play, I I would have to say, being better. You just got to be better. You gotta put more work in. And when you're at those camps, and you're trying to showcase your talent, make sure your detail and everything you do, your footwork, your your catching, your ability to listen, make sure everything's tuned up and just perfect. Going into my senior year, during the summer I went to some camps in Georgia, and I was I was seen by a couple coaches at a mega camp, and they reached out, and I went on some visits, and I ended up committing to the Naval Academy. And I went and visited there, and I have nothing but respect for that whole staff. But the academy, that path just wasn't for me. And so I decommitted from them after the first early signing day in December. And after that is when a lot of coaches already have their eyes on what guys they want. And so I was kind of stuck, like, oh man, I gotta get my film out there on Twitter. I gotta there's no more camps I can go to. Like, season's over, camp season's over. So I got a call in January, late January, from a coach at Michigan, and they they really liked me, and so I came up here on a visit. Continued to talk to them, and they offered me a spot up here. So college coaches, they want nothing more than to talk ball. They're going to tell you about what their program does and what they look forward to, like, where they see you in their program. If they're talking to you in the recruitment process, they're gonna try to put you on the field and where they see that you best fit, and they're gonna try to explain, where they see you and where they think you can, be the best. And so I would say, just know football. They love hearing football, and if you're talking to them and you're like, wow, like, I know, as a receiver, how to read coverages. I know as a defense what to look forward to with splits, like what can I expect? A receiver to run if I'm playing defense, and things like that will stand out to a coach. In college, the detail. So they everybody in college, they're fast, they're big, they're quick, and what separates you from everybody else is just your detail. So going into college, everybody's fast, everybody's strong, everybody's big, and being detailed in your craft, just the ability to run routes, get into the right depth, breaking off the right foot. Being detailed is definitely elevated in college because everybody's fast. Everybody can play ball, but how detailed can you be, and how well can you learn the offense and the defense? Being the scout team player of the week. A couple weeks. I mean, you got to realize that there's a lot of guys who, and they preach us this all the time. It's just a lot of guys have been through scout team. Those guys who are starting and they're going to go to the NFL. They've been on scout team, so it's something that's some players don't have to go through. But if you have to go through it, look at the positive. Focus on whatever you're doing. Focus on your technique. Focus on things that you got to work on, and you can still better your game on scout team, even though you're not learning playing on the offense, playing on the defense. You can still better your game, so that way the next year you can work to not be on scout team. And on special teams, that's something in high school where it's just like you just run down on kickoff, you run down on punt. And in college, there's a lot more to it. There's techniques you have to learn, and it's a battle because all those guys on scout team, special teams is their way on the field, early on in their career. So academics are extremely stressed, in college because you're not eligible if you don't get good grades, and coaches do look at that. Coaches for sure look at that. You'll get called out in meetings if you don't go to class. It's so being able to balance those things. It's just like discipline. When you get to college, you just got to be disciplined enough to, because you got to wake up for those early workouts, and then that afternoon you have class, and you're like, man, I don't want to go to class, but then you're thinking, I'm going to get called out if I don't go to class. So you kind of look at those things, and you build a rhythm where it's like, it's not like you dreamed of this as a kid. Now you're in college and you're playing football. This is what you've always wanted. So you just got to think of it like that. Have a positive mindset of just going to class, making those grades, and just living out your dream. That's what I would say. Just having a positive mindset, going to class, keeping those grades up. And what I wish I learned, transitioning from high school to college, and just the development process, I would say watching film. Watching film is just so crucial. It allows you to almost cheat. It's like a cheat code. In high school, you don't do that. You just practice, and then you go work out during the week and you play. In college, we watch film more than we practice. So I realized that, and I wish I would have known, because that would have made high school just so much easier. So winning the national championship this year, I mean, I wasn't here in 2020. But those guys, in our defensive meetings, they preached. Like back in 2020, we always wanted to be this great Michigan team we knew we could be. But we got to work. And the 2020 season, compared to 2020 season to 2021 season, I mean, that was just a big jump. And those guys, they stayed and they grinded. And, they preached that. This year, they were like that 2020 season, because we had a lot of old guys on our squad, and so they preached in that 2020 season. Remember what we went through, remember what we talked about, and so those guys, they really they did it. They said it that they were going to do it. They believed they could do it, and especially after the two playoff losses, it was like, this is the year. We all kind of knew it, starting spring ball up. We were like, man, we got a good team this year. Like this is the year. And so every day going into practice, it was just laser focused, and, almost knew like it had to be done. And if it wasn't done, then we made a mistake. So NIL, just wearing that Michigan M, and I mean this goes for a lot of schools, a lot of the companies in this area and in your school's area, they know that you're they support the school, so they make a lot of money off of students, and so when you go into those businesses and you wear that logo on your chest, and you just they can almost tell you're a student athlete. You don't even have to explain it. You don't have to tell them. They can just know, and just by doing that and building a relationship with each time you go into a business, you're like, hey, thank you so much. Just by building a relationship, you can easily just branch out and create NIL deal opportunities. Whether that's a smoothie place that you really like, you can create an NIL deal opportunity with them and get free smoothies. It's an awesome opportunity, and I'm so glad NIL is possible.